What's up guys, it's Kaisen here again and welcome back to another episode of our little tutorial. At the start of this tutorial we will do a quest that you don't necessarily have to do if you just want to follow the storyline. This is an optional quest where it's this one here. Yina asked you to locate the hand of the good man, and if you do this quest you get refund points. So again, you don't necessarily have to do this, but since this is a tutorial, I want to show you guys everything that the game has to offer. So that's what we're going to do. We will go into the crypt and do the quest right over there. So in the crypt, we are up against a lot of skeletons. There's flame priests, there's the usual melee skeletons here. These ones are curse immune. So we have some ranged ones, some, oh, I think I'm desyncing a bit here. Yes. Okay, if you should be hitting mobs and you're not hitting mobs, that's a good sign for desync. So at this point, if you're in a dangerous situation, you might even want to Alt F4 to save your character if you're on hardcore. But in my case, I'm just gonna wait it out. I'll grab that shrine. Here we go. So we have a lot of those skeletons in here, and we have necromancers as well. And if I see anything else that is important, I'll get back to you guys. Just as a side note, in terms of resistances, you should look to have... Oh, actually, this is something. Okay. In terms of resistances, you should look to have a decent fire and cold. I think there's not too much lightning in this area, but your fire and cold resist should be decent. And this one we've seen before. This is a Torah mission, but we have to find Torah first. We had another skill drop here. This one is called Flame Blast. That's actually a really fun skill. Let's put it on right here, and you can see this is it. It channels to build up a large explosion. The longer you channel, the larger the area of effect and damage of the explosion. And it occurs after using another skill or a time without casting. It also channels if you move your character, and that's usually what I do. For this build, I went with Spectral Throw because it's a really good skill to level quickly, and also you can keep moving while damaging mobs. It's the same with Flame Blast, so you can fully charge it up if you want to. So you just keep R in this case pressed, and it increases. It drains mana, as you can see, and if you let it go, just get your finger off R, it will explode after a second. If you don't want to wait that second until it explodes, you can just channel it and then move, and it will go off right away. And you can do like these, all those little ones, dealing a bit of damage to them, and you can see that sometimes they burn, so they take additional damage over time from a burn. Okay, it's not really working right now. Come on, burn him, burn him. Okay, not working, but they burn. And we actually got a pretty nice rare amulet. I think we talked about those before. There's a Strength Intelligence one, and there's also Intelligence Dexterity and Strength Dexterity. So there's 3 different ones. We will identify this straight away. The Dexterity is alright. It's not a really good roll. Accuracy is a pretty low roll. 3% increased evasion doesn't do much. 4% energy shield doesn't do much. So overall, it's not a good item. And if we compare it to what we're wearing right now, it has more stats, but I would not even consider it to be better, because we have Life Leech, we have Life, and we have Mana Regen. So we have 3 stats with decent rolls that we need all 3 of them. So the one that we're wearing right now, I would consider as quite a bit better than the one we just found. So we found Torah and find the beast's den. It's not really a surprise, and let's make our way to the den. Again, you can use these pools of bloods if you don't really know, or if you don't know already where the den is, to get the marker and to make it easier for you. I'm just gonna go in here, and we will have, there's actually, it was not entirely correct what I said before. There's two different options for these dens. There's one where you have, I think, only magic monsters, and then there's another one where you have white mobs and one rare mob, like one more dangerous one. Let's see what we got here. Just want to check the type of monster that we have in here. I can't see any of them yet. Oh, bears. Okay, with powerful crits. That's somewhat dangerous, because they already hit quite hard. So we want to make sure that we don't draw too many and that we kill them as fast as possible. Okay, we'll pick up the 2-stone ring. So there's over 20 still left. So, you know, if you rush in, you will have all of those 30 initially attacking you, and it's not really what you want, trust me. Oh, that's desync. There's always, and there always will be desync in the game, you just have to deal with it. It has to do with, you know, all the things that have to be loaded for a certain area, and I'm fine with it. You just have to work around it a bit. Okay, so how many do we have left? Roughly half of them. So there's another 17 or 18. Alright, here we go. We killed a bunch. And we have Detonate Dead dropping. Interesting. We can actually use this. Okay, let's level this up. We can actually use this to show off Detonate Dead. I will... By the way, I could use projectile weakness the whole time if I wanted to increase my damage, but right now my damage is actually good enough, and I rather want to keep my mana, you know, and just use it for my main attack. So what Detonate Dead does is it there's some corpses here from the monsters that we already killed, and Detonate Dead will detonate the corpses, and it deals damage to nearby monsters. And as you level it up, it you know, the corpse explosion will deal more damage. So this guy is standing on top of his fallen comrades, and I can click W, and a corpse will explode in his face. It doesn't really, as you can see, it doesn't really deal much damage to him right now because it's low level. But you can imagine that if it gets to higher levels, then it will deal enough damage to even one-shot blue mobs. Potentially even rares, depending on your setup. So, you know, that's Detonate Dead. We're just gonna switch our projectile back in and keep on killing those thingies. There's not many left. There's 11 left. So we can just throw everything in here that we have and look for the remaining ones. They seem to be all over there in the corner.
My mana is gone.
Alright, mana gone. There's one more here. Okay, those are the ones that are still left. Last one. And, alright, now we have to get back to Tora. Here we are back at Tora. And we're getting closer to level 3. And we saw the hideout of somebody in the last episode. To get our own hideout, we have to get one of the masters to level 3. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. I just had another currency item drop that we haven't seen before, a so-called Vol Orb. And this one corrupts an item, modifying it unpredictably. So this one involves quite a bit of RNG, as you can already tell. It makes sense to Vol Orb certain items or even gems. There's different effects that it can have on an item. It can have no effect at all. It could turn a unique item into a rare item, so it could be a bad effect on an item, making it less less valuable, or it could change an item in a way that it becomes a lot more valuable. So with this orb, it's all about knowing when you should use it and when not, and you know, there's whole threads just dedicated to this topic. I will not use it right now. We don't really have anything that would be worthwhile using a Vol Orb on, but once we find it, I can show you this one in action. I was about to show you guys something else that could happen with your gems, and one other reason why they are grayed out and you can't level them, but I just leveled basically from the last mob that I killed. So I just wanted to mention, to level these gems, it was required for you to have, you can see that towards the bottom, level 26, and I was level 25. So you could potentially have a gem trying to level before you have the necessary level, and then it is grayed out. So you know, you have to get your level up before you can actually level them. So these two were the example for this, and now that I leveled up, I can level those gems up as well. So at some point in this first level, you will find the way to crypt level 2, and that's where we're going. Now down here, I think I hear a tormented soul, if I'm not mistaken. Monsters are not really different. It's still mainly skeletons. I think I hear one. Okay, we have a Defiler here, which is basically a Necro, just with a different name. I think I'm desync. Okay, here we go. Alright. Yes. Okay, so I knew I heard one. There's no magic, no rare mob around, so I was just killing it as fast as possible so it wouldn't flee. If there's a rare mob around, as I said, try to lure the tormented spirit into the rare mob to, first of all, get an interesting fight, and also you know, get the loot drop as well. Since we turned level 26, we can use the latest flasks, which give us 540 life compared to roughly 400 here. So we will exchange all of these here, get 2 new life flasks and 2 new mana flasks. Depending on the rolls that you have on the old one, if you have magic ones, it might be, you know, it might be closer. There's some that increase the amount of life recovered, so you might be closer to this value. But usually it is always a good idea to exchange them as soon as you're possible to do so. So let's go back in here, and we had a level up as well. So we will put our point. What I didn't mention last time is that we obviously want to get to face acrobatics as well. So that's actually, since we have enough damage, we don't need trickery right now. So we will go into towards face acrobatics, and with the first node here we get 3 additional chance to dodge, so this will be 33 all in all now, so that's pretty sweet. Again, I'm picking all this up, you don't have to do so. Just pick up the rare items or some of the blue items if they seem interesting in terms of links and base item type that you're looking for. I don't think I showed you guys this type of mob before, with enemies are slowed. So within a certain radius of this enemy, you walk and attack quite a bit slower. This is also a type of curse that is used, and it's called temporal chains. You can use that curse as well if you find it. And yeah, so you can see that we're quite a bit slower in everything we're doing. Attacking looks kind of natural, but especially the movement is very much slowed down. We found another orb, another currency item, and I think we haven't seen this before. I'm not 100% sure. This one is called an Orb of Scouring, and what it does is it removes all properties from an item. So that means, for example, I could, this is, I already identified this, this is a magic item. I could use the scouring on it and it would make it a white item with the same links, you know, the same base type. It just erases all the stats that are on there right now, except for the implicit, sorry. So all explicit stats are gone and the implicit is still the same. The same goes, I could use it on a rare and it would turn this rare into a magic. So it is somewhat of an inversal of a transmute for magic items and an alchemy for rare items. And what this is used for is, I was talking about an item that you could potentially have where you want to have the base item type and you have a certain amount of links that you want to keep. So let's say you find a 5 or even a 6 link, which is quite rare to find. So you don't want to just discard the item if it rolls badly. What you want to do is you want to keep the 5 link and you want to use the scouring to make it a white item again and roll it again and hope that this time it rolls better. So this is what the scouring is used for. And in terms of value, a scouring and an alch put together is equal value to a chaos, and you can easily see why. If I have a white item and I use an Orb of Alchemy on the white item, it makes it a rare item. Or let's put it differently. If I have a rare item already, so let's say I have this rare item, and you know I want it to be a buckskin tuning. I want the base type to be this, and let's just pretend this is a 5 link. So I want to keep the item. So there's two options that I have to re-roll the item. I could use a Chaos Orb on it directly, which would re-roll the rare item with new stats, or I could use a Scouring to make it a white item, and use an Alchemy to make it a rare again. So it's the same process, just two different ways of doing it. So that's why, in terms of value, Scouring is the same as half a Chaos, or the same as one Alch or one Fusing. Here we found a rare summoner with he casts Elemental Weakness, which makes me more susceptible to elemental attacks, and his allies move and attack faster. So with you know, bad mobs around, you can see that the skeletons are all faster, and he obviously revives them. So this could mean this could mean some trouble for you depending on how many mobs are around, because it will increase the amount of damage that you will take. Okay, another one here, and we are looking for a specific spot in this area. Okay, I found the spot. So at some point you will get to this area where you know, on both sides you might have entrances on both sides, and then it leads you over this bridge, and if you follow this you have always a rare pack, not a rare pack, a blue pack over here, so you might want to draw that pack first, and then the zone boss is up there as well. And once you get close to here, you can hear there's spiders spawning on this side and on this side as well. So if you run in straight away, you might get easily surrounded by the spiders and the magic pack. And this is the boss I was talking about. It's the Archbishop Joffrey the Abashed, and he casts Vulnerability on you. And that makes you take more physical damage from attacks, and also you take more damage from degen. And if you remember, these spiders use Viper Strike, and they put the Viper stacks on you, and the chaos damage is considered degen as well. So this guy is just a melee attacker. So if we had our totem, we could use our totem, so he would just attack the totem, and we can kill him that way. So he has the curse on us. Oh, that's another one. Temporal Chains, so he has a second curse as well. Temporal Chains makes us slower. So he uses Temporal Chains and also Vulnerability as a second curse. It seems Temporal Chains he uses when he's close to us in melee range. And if we're further away, still Temporal Chains. Okay, but he can potentially use those 2 curses, and he attacks melee. He hits somewhat hard. I'm really tanky right now, so I don't really feel anything, and I have face acrobatics, so I'm evading most of the damage anyway. But with the curse on, all the monsters in there will deal quite a bit more damage to you. So once this guy's down, there's still a few spiders that survived, so we can clear this out. You have the altar, and if you click the altar, the golden hand falls out, and that's the quest item that you need. And this is the end of this zone, so you finish the quest and you can basically go back to town from here. Well, it always pays out to open any chests. I just had Hatred drop. We saw this before as a gem, and this is actually one of the gems that should be easier to sell. All kinds of auras are usually easier to sell. We're not using this ourselves. Our character is not really going to use Hatred because our weapons will not be based on physical damage. They will be elemental damage. But as I said before, if you have a high physical damage weapon, which we actually have right now, this gives you roughly 26% more damage at level 1. So it's a nice aura. It reserves 60%, same as Wrath is doing right now. Now back in town, we can go to Yina, and she will give us the Book of Regrets as a reward, and we can use this one to get additional refund points. So right now we have 4 that we could use for any points that we allocated and that we want to, you know, refund, maybe put the points somewhere else. Some other things that I want to mention shortly. One of them is that I was talking about using a second aura at some point, and if you look at the 2 auras, the one we're running right now is Wrath, and it reserves 60% of our mana. And then I'm planning on using Anger later on, which also reserves 60%. So now you could say, wait a second, that's 120% of your mana, that's impossible. Yes and no. As it is right now, we cannot use both of them. We need to find a support gem that is called Reduced Mana, and that makes it so that every aura, or basically every skill that you link to the support gem, will use and reserve less mana, and that makes it eventually possible for us to run multiple auras. Another thing that I failed to mention about the Wall Orb that we found, I only said that it modifies items unpredictably. It corrupts items. What that means is if you use this orb on an item, you cannot use any other orb or any other, you can't alter the item afterwards. So that's again something that you have to keep in mind, and you have to choose the item that you use this Wall Orb on very wisely. For example, if you, let's say you find an amazing chest and you want to see if you can make it even better by using a Wall Orb on it, which, you know, is possible, you should get exactly the links and colors on it that you want and that you need for your build before you use the Wall Orb, because once you used it, you cannot use any type of currency on it to change the amount of links or the amount of sockets on it or the color of sockets. So that's really important. And one last thing is that I found a heavy belt, and the implicit value on heavy belt, the top end is 35, so this is close to perfect in terms of implicit, and that's why we don't really have a good belt right now. I will use a transmute on it and see if we get something good. Nah, it's not great. The cold resistance is alright. If we check our cold, we only have 14, so we might be able to use that at some point. The armor roll is really low and is not really doing anything for us. And I was looking at the strength belt because, as we talked about before, it gives us percentage increased melee physical damage as well. You know, so it's similar to a rustic sash. It's a somewhat of a hybrid between a rustic sash, which gives you the increased physical damage, and what is the other one called? There's a life-based one. So this one gives you both life and increased physical damage. Obviously, not as much as the pure ones. So the pure life belt or the rustic sash, which is pure physical damage. So overall, yeah, it's not that great. I'm gonna keep it in here in case we need cold resistance, but I don't really need the cold resist right now. I rather have the increased damage. So now we will continue to progress in the storyline, and for that I went back to the wetlands. And here, you know what? I will actually show you this side area here. Although I have to say that at this point in time it is pretty much useless. Like nobody goes there, nobody uses this area. I hope that Grinding Gear Games has an idea of how to change this area, maybe put a quest in there, I don't know. But right now it has no use at all. Just for, you know, completion's sake, I'm just gonna show it to you, but keep in mind that you don't really have to go here, ever. We found the entrance to the side area. In terms of layout for the wetlands, if you want to find this this area over here, it's always towards the left of the waypoint, and you're looking for you know, like a trees, wooden area. If you get to some sort of a rock wall, you're on the wrong way, so you have to track back, and then it's somewhere on the left side. It's usually close to the encampment where Oak is situated. And we'll have a look inside. Okay, so in here we will usually encounter the cobras, the chaos spitters, as far as I remember. Just want to see.
Over here, Exile.
Oh, we have Tora in here. Interesting. So we have some apes in here. It's nothing too special. And some bears without anything, so they just have the melee attack, not even cleave, not even enduring cry. It's actually good to find Tora in here, so there's some use to going here after all, because normally, as I said, there's nothing here really that you're looking for. I remember back in the day when there were big chests still in the game, which Grinding Gear Game took out at some point. This was a really popular area to farm, because you would, I think, pretty much every single time, or there was a high probability that you would get this big chest towards the end, which would give you additional loot, but that's not the case anymore, so this area is kind of useless. Okay, I'm just gonna have a look around. Maybe, actually, let's talk to Tora right away and see what she wants.
I have a certain pack
Okay, it's a den again,
to help you out.
and you can already see the arrow pointing in this direction. We found a piece of monster that I don't think, the stat I don't think we have seen before. We've seen the allies deal substantial extra physical damage before, but I don't think we've seen a frenzy as kin is slain. So basically, if you kill any other mobs around this guy, I'm not sure if this just counts for other monkeys or other mobs in general. This guy will get frenzy charges, and the frenzy charges make him attack faster and deal more damage to you. We've seen the frenzy gem before, so this is basically, he gets the charges and they're already swirling around him, so he is consistently more powerful the more enemies you kill around him, and this is permanent, so those charges will not go away until you kill him, which we just did. Alright, so there can be drop bears in here. I just had them drop from the sky. Maybe there's another one who wants to drop. No? We've seen those before in the riverways, and as I said, if you see them in an area, try to keep moving, because if they drop on your head, so even if you see monsters and you want to fight them, move forward towards the monsters, and then move backwards. Yeah, here we go. To make sure that you're not standing right on a spot where drop bears are still, you know, can still drop down. Because if you run over the area where they can drop once, they will drop, and then here we go. And then you're kind of out of danger, so they can't drop right on top of you. That's the main reason. Okay, we are close to the zone boss, or the two zone bosses actually of this area. They're a pair that you have to fight, and both of them are monkeys. And if you want to make the fight easier, you will be trying to split them up. So those are the two. One of them slows you down, the other one makes allies attack faster. So if you have both of them, they at the same time slow you down and make themselves quicker. And if there's a bunch of other monkeys with them, you know, that gets even more dangerous. So you can kill either one of them first. They only have melee attacks, so they're not really that dangerous. But again, in combination, they're more dangerous than on their own. We found the den, so let's check out what's in here. Spiders. And you can see those are not magic ones. So if what I said is correct, then we have a lot of the white ones, and we have one special one, one rare one, that we have to be careful about. And those rare ones usually have some sort of, you know, one special thing about them. They either constantly spawn ads, or they have like a special, more dangerous attack. Just gonna make sure that I think, there we go. So that's okay. So we have Viper strikes that like Viper stacks that are applied. Ouch. We have Flicker Strike as well, and that deals actually quite a bit of damage. And what this guy is using as well is a Smoke Mine. You can see that smoke coming out. Smoke Mine basically makes us less accurate in our own attacks, so we're less likely to hit him. So those are all the things he uses. You know, especially the Flicker Strike, if it hits, deals quite a bit of damage. You can see that right here. And obviously if we get the stacks on, then yeah, that deals some damage as well. And that was a mission that we haven't done before, so we get that check. Now let's get back to Torah. Obviously clear out the rest of the spiders first, otherwise the mission is not complete. Back at Torah,
Creature by creature, we'll put this land to
get
rights.
experience and reputation with her.
I really do
And
like
we
it.
finally have a first master at level 3. And this is important. So we did this side quest. I'll actually go back to town right away, and I'll show you why this is so important. I made a mistake when explaining one of the skills that was used by the den boss, the big spider that we fought before. And that one was about Smoke Mine. I haven't really used Smoke Mine before, so I was not 100% sure about what it does. And it's not the case that it makes us less accurate. What it actually does is you can throw the mine, so you throw that Smoke Mine, and once it triggers, you will get teleported to the place where you threw the mine, and you will also get a short buff on your movement speed. So that's what Smoke Mine does. It has nothing to do with accuracy. I just wanted to set the record straight on that one. Okay, so let's talk about what level 3 brought us. So if we talk to Torah, she basically tells us that everybody needs a den, everybody needs a place to be. And you know, we leveled up, so we can check again her inventory and see what she has. At level 3, there's one new thing that you will see on them that they tried a vendor, and those are skill gems. And in our case, we have, you know, they're an orb of alchemy each. Usually the price or the amount of currency that they want for those skill gems is a bit too high to sell them. But sometimes you will get quality gems on here, and in those cases it can be really worthwhile to buy them, because you can either use them yourself or you can resell them for more in the trade chat. So in this case we have Ice Shot, which I think we already talked about. It's just an attack with a cone of ice behind the first target that you hit. It's mostly for it is for bows, not mostly, it is for bows. I don't think we've seen Blood Rage before. Blood Rage adds a buff that deals chaos damage over time while increasing attack speed and life leech. Killing an enemy refreshes the buff duration and grants a frenzy charge. So this one you can only use if you have a certain amount of life regen, because it will deal damage to yourself. So you can see you lose 4% of your maximum life per second as chaos damage. But if you can sustain that, if you have enough sustain to run Blood Rage, you will get quite a big damage increase because your attack speed is increased, and you also get life leech as well. So as long as you kill, you have a higher chance of sustaining it. Barrage we've seen before. So this is the first thing that changes at level 3. You will get these skill gems that they try to sell to you, and this is the important one: create a hideout. So as soon as your first master hits level 3, you have this option, and if you click on it,
always on the lookout for something better, huh?
Then we will be shown a potential hideout, and those hideouts, the layout of the hideout is different for the the respective masters. This one is called a lush hideout, and this is the one that Tora offers. So we can look around.
This is what I call a lair.
And if we like what we see, and at this point that's the first we can get, and this is actually my favorite, so yes, I want to claim this hideout.
Like it. Look.
And now you have your own hideout, which is awesome. So you have your stash in here, so you don't really have to be in town all the time. If you are in town, you can obviously still go to Act 1 or Act 2. If you want to get to your hideout, you go to a waypoint, and then you have this little symbol down here, and that lets you travel to your hideout. So that's how you get here. And we've already seen how you get to the hideout of other people by using the social window, and if they're in your party, you can just right-click their name and visit their hideout that way. So that's the first thing. You have your own, your own little piece of land now. That's pretty awesome. Another thing is that
it's here that I fletched the
when you talk to Tora, she will give you a tool, and every master has a certain tool, and you can, okay, that's the reward that you get. And you have these buttons down here where if you click on hideout, you see your hideout stash, and we'll talk about this a bit. Actually, I can show you right now. You can purchase decorations as well, and the more missions you complete for a master, the more favor you gain with the master, and you can use that favor to buy certain things from them. Just to visibly, it's just visuals for your hideout, so you can make it real nice and real cozy, and really customize it to what you like. So for example, I have 2,800 favor. I could buy a tree. Are you sure? Sure, I want that tree. And you can buy multiple of those. You can buy as many as you want. It's all about favor. You run out, if you actually in a buying frenzy, you run out pretty quickly. So make sure that you know what you want. And so I could right click this tree, and then you see I can just put it over here. And this is the editing. When I say done, this is the other button basically. Editing is you can move everything that is already placed in your hideout, you can move that around. So if you don't want your stash here, you can put it here. And if you click on this circle here, you can also move the direction in which it is looking. So there's a lot of modifications that you can potentially do, and then click on done, and it's good. And so you can see I have this tree in my hideout now, and kind of looks cool. So I'm just gonna keep that here. And the tool that we just got, if you go on Hideout, you see it right here, and you can also, with right click and then left click wherever you want to place it, you can put it here, done. And those tools are important also to alter items that you have. So if you click on it, you can see that there's crafting here. It's somewhat expensive, but if you find a good item, it is definitely worthwhile using these crafting tools that you get from the different masters. So let's see, for example, if we, let's say, you know, I mean, this chest is not great, but let's pretend it is. You can put it on here, and you could, first of all, if it's red, that means that you can't really add any of this to it because you already, let's see, this is life, for example, is a suffix. Oh, this is only belt and quivers. Okay, sorry. So let's go back a bit. So you can see if you hover over it, where it can be applied to. This is boots, this is belts and quivers, belts, and so on. So let's go back here. If I put this one in, nope, only rare items, I guess. Boots. Do I have anything that I can use here? It's all wands and bows. So as you can see, the different masters specialize on certain items. So Tora, as a bow user herself, mainly specializes in ranged weapons. I actually do have a bow in here, so we can just have a look. If I put this in here, and let's see, wands and bows. So we cannot add fire damage to it or cold damage, and that already tells us, because this is usually a suffix on an item, that tells us that this item has the maximum amount of suffixes, which is 3. I told you before at some point that you can have 3 suffixes and 3 prefix, sorry, this is a prefix. And you can only have 3 of both. That's the maximum on an item. So you have 3 prefixes already, that's why you cannot add this. If you go down, you can see there's certain things that you could potentially add. For example, you could add a global critical strike multiplier or crit chance. So this is a suffix, so that means this item has 5 stats so far, or at least it does not have 6. So you have room for improvement, and you can add another one. And that's what this, or you know, a resistance, which is a suffix as well. So this gives you room for improvement on items that are already good, but are still missing 1 or more than 1 stat on it. So that is one of the important things why you want your hideout and you want your masters in it to get all of these tools. And there's one other thing. The second thing is that if you have one master at level 3, you can invite 2 masters to your hideout. So I don't necessarily have to have Tora in here. I actually, right now, do I want to? Not really. You can see that you get daily missions with the masters that you have in your hideout. And those daily missions make it easier for you to gain reputation with them and increase their level as soon as possible. Actually, I will not dismiss Tora. I think it is the best thing that you can do is to keep the one master that you have at level 3 first. Keep that one in the hideout and try to get that one to level 5 as soon as possible. Because at level 3 you can have 2 masters in your hideout. At level 5 you can have 3 masters. in your hideout. So you want to get to level 5 as soon as possible, so that you have one more slot to fill. So we can do a daily mission, and we'll probably do that daily mission either in this episode or the start of the next episode. And one more thing that I want to show you guys is that since we only have one master in our hideout right now, we have this open slot that we can fill. So you can go to one of the acts, you can look at your other masters, and they all have exclamation marks now, because they've all seen that you just created your hideout.
The first call of any
and
is to
they're kind of saying, oh, you know, I realize you just made a hideout, and I kind of want to be part of that. So you can invite them to the hideout. One important thing here is that you can only invite them to your hideout if they are already level 2. If they're still level 1, there's no option to invite them. So you have to meet a master at least, I guess, twice or maybe 3 times out in the open world, and bring them to level 2 before you have the option to invite them to your hideout. So here's, with him it's the same, I can invite him. And let's see, it makes sense to invite one that is the closest to 3. So here it would be Haku. I'm just going to invite him to my hideout. So he just poofs away here, goes up in smoke, and if I go back to my hideout, I'll see him right here. Now if I talk to him, he will give me another crafting tool as a reward. And I can go on my hideout screen here and put this right here. Done. And this is the armor workbench, and you can see that this is for mostly for, you know, armor, gloves, boots, chest, helmet, shield. And this is similar. Interesting. Okay, I haven't seen this one before. Let's say a word about this. There's a skill in the game that is called Animated Guardian, or Animate Guardian, which is pretty cool, where if you killed some monsters and there's some random items lying around on the ground, or you could even drop powerful items like this one on the ground, and if you cast the skill Animate Guardian, you will create a guardian, so basically some sort of a second person that will pick up the nearest items and will equip them and will fight for you. So it's a summon as well, and if that summon dies, then usually the items that it had equipped, they disappear. And apparently you can buy quite a substantial amount of currency, this is 8 chaos, to make sure that if you equip this guy with really good items, that you get them back once he dies. Interesting. So this is all for armor. You can pay some currency to improve your armor if you find a good piece and there's just one stat that you definitely want that is missing. You can use that in here. And yeah, so this is the case for every master. Now we have our maximum amount of masters. So if I would go back to Act 1 and would talk to Elran, you see that this is not possible. My hideout is full. I have to dismiss a master before I can invite another one. So that means I would have to either go to Tora or to Haku and dismiss them. One thing, if you want to dismiss somebody, you will get a warning here that if you dismiss them, you lose all reputation for their current level. So right now in level 2, I have 900 reputation on Haku. If I click yes, he goes back to 0 in level 2, so I would have to, you know, earn this reputation back. So I don't want to do this. Nope. I just wanted to highlight this. Okay, I'll check how long this episode is already going on. If we have the time, we'll definitely do a daily right now. I think we will do those dailies at the start of the next episode, because this one is already going on for quite a while. There's a couple of things that I just shortly wanted to mention. First of all, we talked about dismissing one of the masters will get rid of all of the reputation of the level. So what's the most or what makes the most sense is dismissing a master shortly after he leveled. So in this case, if I would have the time right now, I could run the daily mission on Haku, which would gain me some reputation, and it is quite likely that with that mission I will get him to level 3. So at this point he will probably have like a low amount of reputation at level 3, and at this point it makes sense to dismiss him. Also, not just because I only lose a tiny amount of reputation on him, but also because every master has one daily mission. That's why they're called daily. And if I level one of the masters that I already have in my hideout, and I am able to dismiss him without losing too much reputation, I can invite another one, and I can do an additional daily mission on that other master as well. So I could do this daily mission right now, dismiss Haku, then invite Elrion and do a daily mission on Elrion as well. And if I'm really lucky, Elrion might level as well. So after doing the daily on him, I could dismiss him afterwards, and if I have another master, I could invite the third and get another daily. So if you're really lucky, you can chain those. It always depends on you know, whether the master levels or not. Another thing that I wanted to say about the daily mission is you can kind of see what monster level the daily mission will have if you look at the master and the reputation. So right now I am level 26. So I don't necessarily want to do a master mission that is, you know, high 30s or even 40s, because I might die, or I might just not be able to finish the mission because the monsters are too strong. So an easy way to tell what kind of monster level you will encounter is looking at the level and also at the reputation bar. Level 2 means that the mission that we will get if we do the daily mission is somewhere in the 20s. And the bar is almost all the way here. So you can say if the bar is half, it's roughly a 25 zone. If it's all the way over here, it's like a 29. Here is 21. So right now I would say that's roughly maybe a 27, 28 zone, which with level 26 we can easily do. If we go to Tora, Tora just leveled to level 3, which means it's in the 30s, and there's no reputation yet. So this should be a level 30 zone, or maximum 31. So that's how you can kind of estimate how strong the monsters in these dailies will be. Okay, and one last thing that I wanted to mention is on these tools that you get from your masters, you can see that apart from the cost, you also have a level here. And this level is not for the item itself, because otherwise, you know, I could not get anything on this one, because it says level 20 and the item is only level 19. So the deciding factor is not the required level on the item itself, but it's the character level. So if our character would be level 19, you could not use this bench for something that requires level 20. So you could only, for example, do this one here, because you're already level 15 on your character. Okay, so that's all about Hideout so far. We finally got our own, and at the beginning of the next episode we will do those dailies and try to get to increase the reputation on the masters that we already have in our hideout. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to support me, and I'll see you guys for the next episode.